Hi, my name is Curt Kempton, and I'm super excited to be with you today to talk about the art of the sale, really, but it's the magic part of your ability to grow your business. This is where you are going to be making decisions about how you move people from, I think I need a service, to I want to do business with you. And that is the key to this whole entire course. And I am going to be walking you through in the next few classes. We're going to walk through several steps that you need to take in order to position yourself and get yourself in the right mindset so that you're actually selling the way you want to be selling and the way that your customers will find you irresistible. So I want to take you back in time quite a few years ago. Over a decade ago, I had a cleaning company. It was called 5 Star Window Care, and we did window cleaning and pressure washing in the Phoenix, Arizona area. And we were growing so fast, and it was so cool to watch our business grow. But at the very early stages of the business, I had a degree from business school, but I had no idea how to sell, and I did not know what I was doing. In fact, I even had a negative view of salespeople. When I was growing up, for some reason, it was conveyed to me that salespeople are manipulators and they're just trying to shake you down for money, and all they care about is just their commission. That's what they're doing the sale for, is their commission. Nothing to do with you as the buyer. And that can get really messy really fast. So I learned a few things along the way, and I want to teach some of those things to you. When I first got started, just to give you an idea how I was working with things, I would go out to sell a job. Someone would call in from an ad that I'd run, and I went out to go do the quote. And what I would do is I would grab a business card or a piece of paper, and I would just write down, whatever they asked for, and then I would just give it a price. And I would hand it to the customer, and I would turn around and run away because I didn't want them to feel pressure or like I was trying to close them. Ironically, I still had a lot of pressure on how I was going to feed my family, and they still were wondering, like, are they going to do a good job? Are they the right company for me? And I was so nervous to give them what I viewed as propaganda that I was so far on the wrong side of the spectrum. I was selling totally wrong. It was not very successful in the beginning, but I learned a few things that made a big, big difference. The first is that you don't have to be shy when you're out there. You can be proud. They called you. They want your services. Now if you're door knocking and all that, that's a whole nother mindset than what I'm talking about right now. And those people, they also don't need to be shy. That they definitely shouldn't be shy. But one of the things that you need to understand is that when you go out there, your goal is to give them more of what they want. Give them everything they want and all the things that they haven't even thought of. If you can look at it from that perspective, you can see that you're a servant to them, as confident as you may be. And a lot of that will come down to what we're going to talk about in a minute in terms of curation or curating process for them. The other thing that I learned very soon, hopefully thereafter, was stop giving people ultimatums. Stop writing down something and giving them a price and handing it to them. What that does is it says, if you'll give me this much money, we'll do business. And if not, we won't. That ultimatum, it gives people a yes or a no. And that yes or no is going to work against you. Another thing that you don't need to do is you don't need to give people discounts that they're not even wanting or asking for. And I know that sounds a little basic, but I'll tell you, part of ultimatums and shyness is that if you give someone one price, the only way you can change that price, and it's always going to be in the customer's favor, never yours. You're never going to raise a price once you've given it, is to start giving discounts to people. So you start reading their face, you start wondering if they're interested. And the first thing you want to start doing in your gut is to just, well, I can knock $100 off, or I can knock $50 off, or I can take 10% off if you do it today or whatever. Allow those discounts or whatever you may need to apply. First of all, if you haven't taken our profitability course, you need to know if you're profitable, and you need to understand how to properly and profitably price jobs. But once you know you've done that, then you can give yourself some leeway to have some additional tools in order to use price as a tool when selling. But if you don't know that, you shouldn't be using it anyway. So you really do need to start making sure that you're pricing profitably. And I can link to that other course here, in this content area. But I want to point out to you that ultimatums and shyness result in discounts and losing sales. And then the last thing that you should know is that you're not your customer. You are not the person who is buying, and the world that you see through your lenses, very well may not match up with the kind of person you're selling to. And so you need to take your lenses off for a little bit and just view yourself as best as you can as being a servant to this person and providing them the absolute best that you have in yourself, whether it be the guarantees and commitments that you make, whether it be the quality of service that you give, or whether it be the extras, unique selling propositions that you can offer that no other company would even dare promise. We'll get into all of that as we go through these classes. But those are very important ways to position yourself, because listen, when you were a little kid, you thought $10 was a big problem. You get $10 for your birthday and you're like, wow, that's a lot of money. And then you spend that $10 and you have, oh, I want to buy something else that's $10. It's a big, big problem. And then you get a little older and $100 becomes a big problem. And then you get a little older than that, and $1,000 becomes a big problem. And you grow to the point where $10,000 is a big problem. What happens is that you yourself are growing. And as you grow, you'll see the world through the eyes of the person who has grown. And your customer very well could be having, $100,000 problems, $1 million problems, but if you're stuck in the $100,000 or $100 problems, you probably aren't seeing the world the same way as them. And as a salesperson, you'll never be able to see the same way as them if you get stuck in these smaller mindsets. Your cleaning is valuable. The things that you offer are valuable. And it's important that you can unapologetically say what it is that you do and what you charge, and position it in a way where you're getting all this value and this is what it costs to receive that value. So we're going to be going through all of that in this class. So the next 3 classes are going to be about curating an experience for your customer, and then educating, becoming an educator as to why not only are you capable of curating this experience for the customer, but why they should need what you've curated for them. And then the advisor, the person who is going to be able to advise them on the solution that will work best given the situation that they're in and the information that they've shared with you and your expertise that you have, having worked with a bunch of other people. So we're going to have a lot of fun in the next 3 classes. I can't wait to go over it with all of you. But if you can imagine moving from $10 and $100 problems up to $10,000 and $100,000 problems, imagine yourself growing into this role of someone who can educate, someone who can curate, and someone who can advise. Because once you've gotten this all figured out and you're able to sort of educate people to what they need and curate the right solutions for them and then advise them for those solutions, you get to play a whole different game. You get to play a whole different game than the guy who I was going out and giving a business card with one price written on the back. You don't leave money on the table. You don't leave customers wondering and unsatisfied. And at the end of the day, you're going to grow yourself a business that you can be really proud of. So let's get started into the next class, and we will start talking about education.